All right, we're live. These things just pop up, right? I've gotten to a point to where these things just pop up every morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But Jason's still up because he's in Arizona and he's crazy and he never sleeps. So I got my boy right here, Jason Rabine from Low Boy Industries. You guys know him on LinkedIn if you're following me or if you're following anybody in the logistics space. You know my guy. What's up, bro?
My dude, I'm excited. I was busy today, and then when the bat signal went out, I said, you know what? We're gonna make time. We're gonna make space. That's what it's all about. If a customer calls,
Literally,
that's what we do. When the customer accesses the bat phone, we go home and we handle business. So you know what? Our friends, our colleagues, our agents, they all have access to the bat phone. So let's do it.
Literally, I sent the bat signal out. I literally sent him a GIF of the bat signal going out. But listen, dude, you've always said you come on the show whenever I need you, right? I need you for one. So here's where we're at, man. I told him we just came on here. We're just there's no flow. There's no structure. There's no script. There's no thing that we're doing right now. What we're about to do is we're about to light this. All right, I gotta get ready because this is gonna be one of those episodes. Like we're about to light this bitch on fire. It's time
you better be ready. I'm coming.
If you have sensitive ears and if you are a sensitive person, this is not the episode for you. I just want to cut through the BS and get straight to it. We were talking about something right before we came on, and it was, you said you had a post a couple weeks ago where you kind of called out some people that are just kind of, those attaching people on LinkedIn that are trying to play the game, but they're trying to play it with cheat codes. They're trying to play it. Yeah. They're trying to get on other people's levels quicker than they should be there without, going through the road to get there.
They don't have the receipts. Yeah.
Let's go through that. Let's give your thought process on that a little bit. How important, because I know it is, how important is LinkedIn and what's the right way to do it? Let's kind of have a show about that. Let's talk about that. How important is LinkedIn to you?
I can do this. This is right up my alley. So for the most part, nobody knows what LinkedIn is until they figured out what it is for themselves, right? Because I think when you're on the platform, there's so many different angles. There's so many different levels. There's so many different industries, and a lot of them kind of commingle. And until you find out exactly what you're going to use it for and how you're going to leverage, network, sell, whatever the case may be, until you figure it out, you just kind of wing it. When I first started posting, I'd post every day and I'd find myself questioning, why am I posting this? Like, what's my end game? And I still to this day don't have an end game. I don't have any motivation other than it's part journal, right? It's part real life. I feel like the more that I'm transparent and organic and vulnerable and human, the more I can say truthful things that you wouldn't necessarily hear or see on LinkedIn, right? But the truth is, everybody on the internet is hiding from something, right? Like your internet persona is fluff. There's a lot of ego. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors. And I mean, just today I had a Facebook memory pop up. 2 years ago, I was in Vegas. I rented a Lamborghini and I'm driving down the strip and I took a selfie for the gram, me and the bougie Rolex. And like, I saw that today and I pulled over in my car and I just reflected on it. And I was like, wow, 2 years ago, I was trying to be somebody I wasn't. I was still drinking, I was out running and gunning. And here I am sober. I run 2 businesses. I live on LinkedIn. My whole business is on LinkedIn. And as strange as it sounds, I don't sell on LinkedIn. I've never solicited a single customer, not one, dude. So for me, it's turned into just a personal brand. And by extension, I have 2 businesses with their own pages, and I, a little bit here and there about what the businesses themselves do. But people are attracted to who I am as a person, and the business relationships kind of are an extension of that. And so the cool thing is, I don't have to call 1,000 people a day to find the 5 that like me. People that watch me are either Team Jason or not. And so if they reach out to me, like you said earlier, that warm lead isn't a warm lead, dude. That's a steaming hot lead. They know me. They know what they're getting into. They want to do business. And so instead of spending so much time navigating the noise, I'm just me and I'm servicing my customers. I'm too busy servicing my customers to be doing outbound. So I spend a little bit of time throwing some stuff against the wall, and then the LinkedIn stuff just it comes my way. And so for me, LinkedIn, 100% of my funnel right now is LinkedIn. So it's massively important.
Dude, and that's where me and you share the same thought process. I can tell my story about when that happened, but that's not about me. It's about you right now. When did the switch turn on? When did it hit you that this is what I should be doing? This is how I should be using LinkedIn?
The day that I told people that I was an alcoholic, the day that I came out and I was like, you know what? I'm teetering on the edge. You know, I'm not fully transparent. That imposter syndrome is still there because I just need to say it. Right. And so like the people who know me, who are my friends that know me on LinkedIn, know my struggles. They have for years. I've never hidden from it. I was a highly functioning alcoholic, highly functioning. But I never hid it. I didn't have to. It was a part of me. And something came about in this. It's weird because a lot of stuff I read on LinkedIn motivates me for my own content. So I draw from other people. And I don't remember exactly what it was, but somebody was being super human, not superhuman, but like human, like, hey, I'm a failure, or, you know, I might look like this, but this is what it is. And I was like, I had taken a nap that day and I woke up. Usually my best posts are I roll over and I just let it ride. And I rolled over and I let it ride. I said, hey, I'm Jason and I'm an alcoholic. And here's my phone number. And you're not alone out there. And my phone to this day, I still get random text messages from people who are like, hey, you gave us your phone number, you know, and I don't ever ask who it is, what your name is, what's your story. If you just need someone to talk to, that's just not in your circle, that 6 degrees of separation, it's available. And it turned into business, to be honest. You know, other people in that addiction space who would never want to say that out loud to their friends and family, let alone to tell the world on Facebook, you know, LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever. They were like, hey, in a DM, like I could relate to this. And so we chop it up, we vibe, we see if there's any kind of connection, we can connect the dots. And not for nothing, we become friends more than anything because we have something in common. Right. And so that day, since then, there's just been a different tone of engagement. Right. And so my tone hasn't changed. I might be a little more vulnerable, but the tone of the people have changed. I started getting more connection requests. Right. I don't really monitor that, but I could see the growth. If I go back and look at it, the growth really peaked then. And, you know, from then on, I just decided, you know, screw it. I'm a business owner. I don't have to answer to anybody. If I like something, I'm going to say it. If I don't like something, I'm going to say it. And once I stopped caring what the world thought, and I realized that there's going to be people that like or dislike what I say, but either way, it's going to draw attention to something that we could talk about. Then it just organically became just a life of its own. And even today, it's weird. People will just send me a DM and be like, listen, that post you put up yesterday, I feel that. I'm about that. Thank you. And I'm just like, you know what? I was just speaking my space at the moment. And if you resonated with it, awesome. But I don't put too much thought into it. I don't sit and go, how can I manipulate the algorithm? Like, what can I say that's going to draw attention? Dude, it's so organic, it's crazy because I hated writing in school. So in terms of journaling, this is my form of journaling. I just jot stuff down during the week and then I put it together on a Sunday and off it goes. But like I woke up this morning at 3 a.m. ready to rock and roll. I rolled out of bed. I fell asleep on the couch, and that post that I put about today's going to be a great day. You know why? Because I woke up and like that was off the cuff, half asleep at 3 a.m. Hit send, off I went. You know, 4 hours later, I look back and I'm like, damn, there it is. So sometimes it's just the most raw, organic, no reason whatsoever post that attract attention. But my fear is it's borderline social media now. That's my own insecurity is, am I too transparent about stuff because it's not necessarily all business related. But like if I had to give you the sauce, it's 1/3 business, 1/3 Jason, and 1/3 shit's not always gravy, right? And I'll tell you it's not gravy. I'm a successful 2-time business owner. Shit sucks, right? I'm climbing this mountain. It sucks, dude. Sucks. But if you want it, this is what you signed up for. Like you wrestled. You weren't always at the top. Didn't it suck coming up? Like you had to pay your dues. It sucked.
Yeah.
So
no, that's life, man. You know, it is. And I think that's why I mean we get each other, right? When you get around, not an echo chamber, because I'm sure that we're to a point, not that we know each other great, but we feel like we do because of LinkedIn. That's one reason why I think the being personable helps, because I am very transparent on LinkedIn, just like you are. We're two of the few in the space that actually do that legitly. Like some people do it in a fake way. Like they're transparent just 100%. Enough to let you know they're being transparent, but they're still hiding things in their closet. I'm pretty much willing to talk about everything, and so are you. And I think that's why we get along.
Trouble though. Sometimes we say things that there's a fine line, and there's been times where I've never taken a post down. I'm going to be straight up. There's posts I probably should have taken down, but I don't backtrack. You know, I'm if you don't like it, let's talk about it. If you notice, my tone on any post is never argumentative. It's always open-minded. I might say something and then change my mind later. So when I put up my post, it's how I feel in that moment, but it's never argumentative because at the end of the day,
Sure.
opinions aren't wrong. Like I'm not mad at you because your opinion is wrong. Hell, your opinion might change my opinion. So I'm always open-minded.
Yeah.
I soak up data like crazy. So like the ADD allows for that excess flow of information. And so like I was just thinking about it today. For many years I drank and I was running and gunning and thugging and all that. And I was trying to hide from the ADD because it was rampant, dude. Now I just let it do its thing and I decide what works and what doesn't. But I let it flow in its natural state. Some days it's overwhelming. Other days it's like that movie Limitless where he takes that pill and he's just like 20 steps ahead of everybody. It's so nuts. And so yeah, I stopped trying to control it. I'm not driving the bus anymore.
No, that's good, man. I think that's perfect. And not to like tell my ass side of it either, but like for years, I mean, I had a LinkedIn profile, man, since 2011, 2010 when I was in college.
Same here. Yep,
Like,
same here.
I got it then. Organically, probably was able to get followers just from connecting with people just randomly
Yeah,
over the years. I would use it just to kind of spy on people and to see what they're
yeah,
doing like professionally. And I saw it
yep.
was a professional like resume site. And,
Mhm,
but I spent my whole life Instagram, Twitter, Facebook,
mhm,
TikTok, those type things. But my
yep.
biggest one forever was Twitter and Facebook because of wrestling and football. I had a
That's where your
very
fans
good
were.
presence.
That's where your
Yeah,
fans. That's where your audience was.
I had
Yep,
a very big presence there. That was the people that came to the show. That was the people that wanted to see inside my thought process before game day, stuff like
yep,
that. That had help with WWE and Ultimate Warrior and all that, but I
yeah,
deleted those when like in 2018 when I got canceled online, that whole deal with like Twitter, but so I deleted all of them, just get rid of it. And
yep.
then when I came back to LinkedIn, I just wanted to be professional, like a
Right.
suit version of me. I think this was all good because it found my voice, right? It found my voice
Right.
on LinkedIn, but I realized in order for me to actually get true engagement, I just got to be unapologetically,
Yep.
authentically me. I say this all
Yep.
the time,
Yep.
and people are going to hate me. People are going to like me, probably the same amount of both. But I'm only going to talk to the people that are wanting to get better and the people that like me and the people that I can bring up. You have that
Yep.
same drive, man. You talk about your failures. I'll talk about
Yeah.
being canceled. I'll talk about, fucking up whatever I messed up. Like I'm going to cuss. I'm going to be me. And if you
Yep.
can't like that, we don't need to work together anyway. So there's really no reason for me to pretend to be something else. And that I
Yep.
just like that about you, man. I really do. And it does get us in trouble.
Thank you.
Literally gets us
I'm
in trouble in the same emails. But it's like
100%.
it
'Cause
is
I'll
what it is.
text you and I'm like, here it comes. I'll say, hey man, I'm lighting this one up. So here, put the blinders on. Just don't pay attention to this one. But we communicate on the back end. I mean, there's a lot of us that I think more than people realize. There's a backdoor network of a bunch of us that have
Yeah.
connected. LinkedIn is the face, but the true nitty gritty is when we're on the phone late night talking shop, when we're texting like, hey, do you have a truck? Can you help me with this quote? Here's a business problem. What would you think about this? There's engagement level stuff that's good for LinkedIn, but the real meat and potatoes happen behind the scenes. The
Yeah.
crazy thing is I could have 1,000 people I know on Facebook and maybe 3 of them I really know. I have 8,000 people on LinkedIn, but I probably have 300 phone numbers. So if you look at
Yeah.
the total amount of relationships compared to the other sites, it's so much more real life here, right? And so I think LinkedIn has evolved because, look at it back in 10, 11, 12. It wasn't what it is today, right? Nobody was really monetizing it. Nobody really knew what it was. It was just like there, right? And so I hate to say it, but Facebook's the new MySpace. Like it's obsolete. It's absolutely
Yeah.
obsolete. I'm very rarely on it. So I quit drinking in November of not this last year, but the year before. And that last night I drank, I had this weird feeling that something bad was going to happen. I deleted all my social media and I was off social media for a whole year. And in that year, I grew spiritually, physically, emotionally so much faster and in a more organic way that I didn't have any social media until I jumped on LinkedIn when I decided to start my own business, just because you kind of have to, right? And then when
Sure.
I realized, okay, I have control over the content, I have control over what I allow in, and my emotional intelligence is strong enough where I'm not triggered by things that are just stupid. Like no clickbait affects me anymore.
Right.
And so I jumped back on a couple of the other socials just to kind of spread the distribution of content across the channels. Nothing touches any of it like LinkedIn. Twitter's a close second. Twitter's a whole different animal. But if you could tap into those two alone, you're good. The other platforms, organic is not really where it's at. It's all about ads and just creative, user generated content. But for me, those are marketing people who spend money and time generating videos of stuff that's just, I'd rather talk. Let's talk about it. It's real time.
Yeah.
Let's engage in real time, and so the way that I look at it is those other socials are past tense. It's like they want to look cool yesterday. This is what I did yesterday. LinkedIn is very much a today present kind of, this is what happened today. Like I'll post stuff this just happened right now. Here's a picture. Let's talk about it. And then people are like, yo, that happened to me too. Like that same thing happened to me. And so there's that kind of real life connection where it doesn't feel so much like the Matrix. You know what I mean? So.
Well, if you look at, your Facebook, your TikToks, your Twitters, and I think Twitter, you're right. Twitter is like, if I had to go to another one, which I'm on it, but like if I really had to hammer down,
I said, dude, we have to pivot. There's because our same audience is there. It's just a different personality of audience. And so you can tap into the emotional response of the same person. We may not reach all the people we want on LinkedIn based on our LinkedIn content, but on Twitter, it's not as business direct. And so you could be a little bit more social, but also a little bit more radical, if you will.
Sure.
But you're going to evoke an emotional response from the same person just based on the different platform. And so, cross-generating that content, dude, if you can tap into both of those, that's all of our ICP is not on Instagram right now. Like our customers are not chilling on TikTok. They're not buying off TikTok. They're not buying freight services. They might be buying some weird crap people are pushing, but they're not buying what we're selling.
Right.
And so I just posted that the other day. You got to know where your audience is. Like Ferrari and Lamborghini don't make commercials. I was flabbergasted. I was like, what? Why? Oh boy, I was like, the people that buy those aren't sitting in front of the TV. Why would they waste their money? I went,
That's right.
Whoa, okay. Taking notes. So
same thing with yachts. Have you ever seen a yacht advertised on TV? Nope.
No. So
makes sense.
Jet. I mean, like if you think about the 1%ers, it's a small circle of people. It's word of mouth stuff up there. Once you get up to the top, it's all word of mouth, man. It's who you know. And kind of that's what we're doing. Like your leads, my leads is inbound referrals. It's who you know. You do a good job, somebody refers you. So what we're doing is we're pushing our personal brand, and our brand sells itself. I just thought about this today. I'm not an apparel company. I'm not a freight company. I'm a marketing company that happens to sell freight and apparel. But you don't know that. You would never know that because the way that it comes across, it's not common to you don't go, oh, that guy's selling something. Like he's selling me on something. I don't sell anybody anything. You just happen to know what I do. And so you get to know me and like me, and you either do or you don't, and you either buy from me or you don't. But like, I'm not out here going, hey man, I sell the best freight services out here. Call Jason. No, man, because the problem with the internet is if you over show your hand, you overcommit your hand, and you get your card pulled, there's no coming back from that. You lose all credibility. And so for me, I'd rather, over promise and over deliver at the same time, but not so brashly where I'm like, this is what I'm going to do. Watch me. It's more like, this is what I can do. And I say it in a humble way because I know what I can do. There's a little bit of swag behind my shyness when I'm selling a customer. Listen, Mr. Customer, this is what I can and can't do. I don't sell it like a car salesman, but once they give me the opportunity, dude, I'm a killer. It's a wrap, so I'm not aggressive. That's the thing is there's a bunch of different ways you could sell. I mean, when I sold magazines door to door, my manager, dude, he'd knock on the door and he'd literally make people buy stuff from him.
Sure.
I was turned off by that, but that dude wrote business and he cashed checks. That just wasn't my style. My style was, so like when you're on the street and you're selling door to door, each rep knows who they can sell well to. I was the yuppie seller, dude. Put me in the rich houses. I rolled up with my little polo on and my little boy next door, and I changed my voice a little bit and I talked to my audience. But if you put me in the trailer park, nope. There were certain people that could go to the hood and just sling magazines because that was their demo. That's where they were from. I always sold to the people I wanted to be. So for me, I always sold up, not down. And so I look at it this way. I look at it this way, I mean, I'm a one-man band. I have 15 agents. We're not massive, but I've got some massive contracts in the work as if I were a big boy company. So I'm selling up.
No, I'm with you, man. I'm with you on that. And that all hit me too when I realized that you said it perfect. And I haven't thought of it like this. I have, but I haven't said it like you said it. I'm not a freight sales guy. I'm not a VP of sales. I'm not anything. I'm not a wrestler. I am me. And when I say I'm unapologetically, authentically me, I think more people are willing to come to me because I'm saying that, because now they're like, all right, I'm about to get the non-BS version of this dude. What's he going to say for real? Who is this dude for real? And I think that's why people come around. Some of your posts that you put out, I noticed, they're getting, and in LinkedIn, I think people need to understand this too if you're listening. Like LinkedIn is different than the other socials. Like 1,000, let's just call it 10,000 followers on LinkedIn, I would equate to 100,000 on Instagram, because there's so many bots and fake and the reach you get organically. Yeah. So if you look at this, you're putting out posts and you're getting, over 100 likes, comments, shares, and people engaging directly to that. That's what drives impressions, really. So a lot of people post stuff and they get none. Like you'll see presidents of large companies share some decent information that just sounds very politically correct on LinkedIn, and they'll get 5 to 20 likes from random people. You want to know what it is?
I hate to say it, the algorithm rewards people who are consistent. And so you could have 5 million people, but haven't said anything in 3 months. You don't have any engagement data to show that you deserve to be at the top. I hate to say this, man. And in that post I put last week, stop trying to hack the algorithm. You'll never win that way. If your motivation is to hack the algorithm, you've already lost. Your motivation is you came in at it sideways. So if your motivation is to be seen, engage, write your own posts, be consistent, don't worry about who's liking what. Eventually, the quality of your content is what people are looking for. And then if they also happen to like you on top of it, Yahtzee, there's people that I don't necessarily like, and I hate to say that word, but wouldn't do business with, but I'll follow them because the stuff they put out is gold. But if I like what you put out and I would be your friend, dude, I'm supporting you, liking, clicking, sharing, engaging, and not for the algorithm, but just because I want to be supportive, And so, the engagement in the comments is where the real meat and potatoes are, dude. Like, honestly, that back and forth, look at it this way. The post itself is the hook. Everything else is the gravy. And so, I've looked at some posts and I'm like, I don't know about that one. But then I start reading and I'm like, yep, there we go. There it is. Somebody said what needed to be said. And then everything after that was legit. So you do have to play a little cat and mouse game. But there's rules to this. If you want to be successful, there's definitely, and I hate to even put something like that out because I'm nobody. I'm just giving you my opinion on it. But it seemed pretty well received. Like there's some pretty common sense stuff. But I see a lot of people coming out and like day one, it's just me. Cool. You're a rock star. Right on. Dig it. Cool. Tell me some shit that went south. Show me your grit. What did you do to fix the shit when it went south? Don't tell me shit never goes south, because right away you lose all credibility.
Yeah, 100%.
Just stop that. So if you're watching this podcast right now and you're afraid to talk about your failures, let me tell you algorithm hack. Your failures will drive more engagement than your successes. Because everybody's heard how great everybody is. Let's hear how shitty some shit happened. Like my best post outside of name dropping TQL was a picture of a corner that I used to live on when I was homeless. And every once in a while when I'm feeling some type of way, I go sit in that corner and I go back to that place and I go, life could be a lot worse. I could still be there. I could be dead. And I was just like, this is where I used to live. And I'm not afraid of it. It's 10 miles from where I live right now. And when I'm feeling some type of way, I go sit on that park bench and I go, damn, man, life's pretty damn good. And so whenever I'm down on myself, I go to that place and it's kind of my happy place, And so that one drove 100,000. That one drove 100,000 page impressions, and I had no idea it was going to drive that kind of content. The most engaging content is when somebody's real, not full of shit. Sure. And there's a lot of people that are using canned they're taking other people's posts and just changing it to their own. Like,
Sure.
cool. You can use framework, but don't plagiarize. Like, come on, man. And for me and my ADD, I read enough of this stuff where I know some people are legit just ripping someone's post from 3 days ago. I'm like, if that's your MO, cool. But that doesn't. How are you going to separate yourself? You're playing in traffic with everyone else. So
You can't scale that. You can't scale being fake, and you
no.
can't scale, that part of it. My goal was, and before I even kind of found my rhythm and my voice, my goal was to meet as many people in the logistics community as possible. I put that out about a year ago, right?
Yep.
But I still wasn't engaging. I was trying to
Right.
meet as many people, get them on my podcast, kind of switch over to the logistics space, and that it worked kind of, right? But it wasn't until I went to that 10X Business Boot Camp with Grant Cardone, came back, doubled it up with that mastermind with Andy Elliott, and kind of became almost not friends, but like I could text him right now and he'll give me some advice, like that, a personal acquaintance of him. And I was like, dude, I just got to do that for logistics. I got to bring some type of that energy. And the main thing is I got to be transparent about it and I got to document it. So now, like you said, it's almost like a journal. I wasn't the best kid in school. Like, I made decent grades and graduated college, right? But that was mainly because of football. I didn't have the best grades in school. When in December, when I put the podcast on hold and I said, I'm going to bring it back in January, and I just went to straight written content. So like December 5th was actually the first day. Every single day since that day, my impressions have never went below 10,000 in a day. And that's through written engagement. And I was like, oh, wow. So now if I keep doing this and then put the podcast on top and then start helping people in the morning on top and then start still sharing all my failures and successes as well, mainly my failures, let's see what happens.
You built a strategy, man. Dude, I'm telling you, you put up right around that time. You're like, hey, I'm going to hit 1 million impressions. And I was like, let me go look at mine. And I hit 1 million right about December 28th. I'm pacing for 1 million in January. For no reason. Like, nothing changed other than my personal mantra was all in. Chips are all in. So I only used to post once a day. Now I post twice a day. I post every day at 7 a.m. and noon. I'm consistent. The algorithm, I think, rewards that. I don't do it because of the algorithm, but I do it because I feel like the same people are on about the same time every day. And then there's Jason. And my tone in the morning is, let's go get him, Tiger. You got this. Like, doesn't matter what's in front of you. You got this. You have a friend telling you that you got this. And usually my midday posts are, all right, let's talk about some real life stuff. But I never drop, the bomb in the morning because it jacks the tone up a little bit. So there's a little bit of strategy to how I post and what I post. And then there's just some days where I'm just like, here we go. Just this is on my mind. And there's times where I have a written post already scheduled and then something pops up. I delete it and write it live right then and there. And it just, it is what it is. But the problem is if you sit there every day and you try to come up with content on the fly every day, you'll get writer's block. It'll drive you nuts. So like I keep my phone on me at all times, like literally I'm glued to that thing. I'll be driving and I'll have ideas in my head and I'll send a text to my email. So I've probably got 50 or 60 emails, shirt ideas, business ideas, podcast ideas, LinkedIn ideas, all of it. It's my go-to. And then I go back and I look at some of that stuff and it's just, there's an endless amount of content waiting for me. So
there's a guy, and I know I'm sure you took this strategy from him, Alex Hormozy. So that's what he does. He would take, if he has an idea, he used to send it to himself in an email. And then he said, I'm just going to go to Twitter. And that's kind of going to be my thought process, my thought tank. And then anything that kind of hits. If it hits, then I'm going to make long form content, cut that content up, make short form content. And when he, Grant saying you need to be known, it's not about the best product. It's about the best known product. I firmly believe that 100%. You can not know anything about freight, but if you're the one person that everybody knows when it comes to freight, you're probably going to get the first question asked. Right. So I believe that. And that's kind of why you're 7 and 12. I love that. Mine is different. I'm so scatterbrained in a way. I'm super ADHD too, man. Like my first podcast ever was me talking about my addiction to Adderall. That's a whole different subject.
Woo!
But So
dude, a side piece real quick. They put me on that about a month ago and I lasted 2 weeks and I took myself off it because somebody was going to get dug in a ditch, dude. That it put me on the edge. I lived on the edge in a scary place.
Doesn't do that to me. My problem
Very good.
was I was using it to be my energy source. So when during that time, it was, pro wrestling logistics
Yep.
scheduled at the exact same time. So
Yep.
Monday through Friday, I'm working logistics, but also Thursday through Sunday, I'm traveling doing wrestling. How's that happen? I don't know. Bunch of Adderall's, how that happened,
Yeah.
So, and
Well,
it
for
just
me, it's
run me,
supposed to calm me
crazy.
down. And it did. For me, because of the way that I'm hardwired, those stimulants are supposed to have a reverse effect on me.
Hmm.
And while it did calm me down a little bit, it made me very edgy for no reason. And I'm a happy guy, dude. I'm positive as heck. But
Sure.
for some reason, there was just deep rooted rage.
Yeah.
So I let the therapist know. I said, "Hey, this happened. This trigger happened." And she's like, "That's something deep down inside you've been suppressing for a long time. So one, get off of it. Two, let's talk about it." And so we're circling back and talking about some childhood trauma. You know, I was an angry kid. I was a very angry kid, dude. Ever since I was a kid, it was me against the world. And I always
Yeah.
thought, the chip on my shoulder is there because I felt like the world was coming at me. And I was angry. Why me? Why can't I just be Johnny next door and mom and dad live together forever and have a nice little picket fence and a station wagon? Instead, broken home, drugs and alcohol early. Dude, I didn't even graduate high school. I was a high school dropout right here, running two businesses successfully. There's no rhyme or reason
Crazy,
to any
man.
of this stuff. No rhyme or reason to any of it. And I'm not, believe me, LinkedIn world, I am not condoning dropping out because you think you could just get it. Although today's youth think they can drop out and get it because there's so much revenue available on TikTok, on all this social media. I mean, my 13-year-old daughter is talking about, Dad, I want to start a YouTube. And I'm like, listen, slow to roll, slow down. Just go to junior high. You know what I mean? Go date the boys, go do the girl, just do that stuff. All
Yeah.
that stuff's going to be there in a few years when you get there. Don't grow up too fast.
Sure.
And I wish somebody would have told me that because I had to grow up faster than I needed to. I'd give anything to go back to being 12, worrying about nothing but, am I on the hill tonight? Am I going to bring the heat? Am I going to hit that first batter? Because I always hit the first batter. Like that anxiety of just being a 12-year-old, like nothing else,
Yeah.
man. That's it.
Yeah.
Now I worry about myself, my kids, my business, all of it, dude. It's overwhelming, but I thrive in chaos. For me, this is what drives me. If all of that stuff stopped, I'd be like, uh-oh, and I'd probably drink because I'd have no chaos. So for me, I self-generate chaos. That's why I drank for so long, because I was killing it at work. I was killing it in the marriage. I didn't have chaos. And so like I introduced a little bit of that chaos and so ass backwards, man. It was just not
But
healthy.
but you know how you operate, right? It's not
Yeah.
about how everybody else operates. You got to get to know yourself first. And I think
Yeah.
for people to get to know themselves, you have to kind of hit rock bottom and you have to go through that spiritual journey, whether that spiritual journey is religion or whether that
Yep.
spiritual journey is just the universe and you figuring
Yeah.
out your own shit. For me, that was my universe, right? So mine was, I was on the top of the world. I was getting not only like recruited by these top wrestling companies, but
Yep.
I was literally becoming like I was about to be the guy that was about to get signed. I have no doubt. People can say what they want to. I know it for a fact. You don't travel to where I was traveling, being at the top of the card at all these shows the way I was, getting promoted the
Yep.
way I was, and not be that guy. And I
Yep.
looked the part, right? That's just that's just the cockiness
It
come
is
out,
what
but
it is.
that's just
Yeah.
it is what it is, right? So I was there, hurt my knee, and then the first time ever in my life I didn't have anything to do on the weekend. So I was not busy, like you said, and instead of drinking, this time I was still on Adderall. So those thoughts were coming to me on the weekend with nothing to keep my mind busy. And it went
Mhm.
to Twitter and it went to lighting everybody the fuck up.
Yep.
Like it went to me letting things out that I've been wanting to say that I hear in the back that I just didn't agree with. And
Right.
that was what kind of got me canceled and kind of, put me at the bottom again. And
Yeah.
then I realized, okay, I got to get off this stuff because it's not helping me when I'm not busy and I'm doing
Right.
too much of it and all that. And then I started the podcasting and it kind of started getting better from there. But it took us so long to find who I really am. But I've known who I am. I just had to let everybody else, let them in on who I was, share myself with other people and not
Mhm.
be so scared of, hey man, it's okay to fail. You
Yeah.
can't be perfect. Everybody that's done something great has failed at something. Just let people know what it is and let them know what happened and maybe they can learn from it. And now
Mhm.
you're no longer a failure to them. You're a success story because you helped them get to somewhere they need to get a little bit quicker because you've helped them get over the speed bump. When I took that mindset, that's really opened my mind. And the big thing for me on LinkedIn is getting around people like you, surrounding yourself with people that are kind of like-minded, that are also in the industry, that are competition, but that we can come together as a community and help each other out, because there's so much of a market share out there. There should be no reason why people are trying to keep people from working at other companies. There should be no reason why people are trying to keep people down and not give them the information for free that I'm willing to give people, just because they deserve that. If they work for any company in logistics, they should know this information. They shouldn't have to pay for it. Now, for some higher level stuff, you should pay for it, but not for the basics to understand the bare minimums of the game. Like, people need to be able to share this stuff. And I don't know why other people don't come out and do this more often. Like, you're super transparent on LinkedIn. So am I. So are some other guys that we talk to all the time in the space. And then some people come on here and they're playing this game. They're trying to be something that they're not. They're trying to say, hey, I know how to do all this in sales, and you haven't even landed your first account yet. It's like, come on, bro. Like, you're making LinkedIn social, like you said, but you're making it fake again. You're trying to Photoshop it. You're trying to show only the wins. You got to show the losses first. People care about the losses more than they care about the wins.
100%.
What is, if you had to, I know we both follow some people in LinkedIn that teach you some frameworks, right? And you've implemented them. I've implemented some. We have our own. If you had to like give somebody the basic X and O's of like how to use LinkedIn, where are you starting them? Say somebody creates a profile today and you're saying, hey, this is what you need to do first. What would you tell somebody to do?
Well, a lot of that depends on what they do in business. You know, there's a lot of unemployed, and I hate to say unemployed, but there's a lot of people who don't have a direction that are on LinkedIn. And that confuses me, because it's like, what are you doing on this platform? You should be working on who you are, so that when you're on the platform, your brand cohesive. And so a lot of people are out here faking it till they make it, just trying to figure out who they are. So my first suggestion would be, make sure you know who you are, like, and be you, right? Be unapologetically you. It's okay. The problem is, and this is the biggest problem, every other social media platform is about likes and validation, right? I don't need validation from anybody. Anybody. I just posted today on my Twitter, I'm today years old, when I realized I don't give an F about what you think about me. Dead ass. Your opinion of me is not my problem. For years, I worried about what people thought about me. And by doing that, I stopped caring about what I thought about myself. And the reason I did that was because I didn't like myself. And so I used their validation. And all of that is smoke and mirrors, man. That's a definition of the matrix, right? So if you're going to come onto LinkedIn specifically, you better be prepared for accountability here. That is, on Facebook, there's banter and there's, hate mail, but there's no accountability. You could say whatever you want. It's like Mike Tyson said, everyone has a plan to get punched in the mouth. LinkedIn will punch you in the face real quick. You'll find out real quick that you can't just say whatever you want, because especially in our space, transportation is a really small space, right? Like, everybody knows everybody. And so to segue off that, I brought on 5 agents this week, and they all asked me, how do I part ways? Well, my advice is, one, never leave on bad terms, right? You can dictate how you leave. You can't dictate how they let you leave. So if you leave on good terms, you never badmouth your old employers. That is a show of respect, right? And if you're going to bring your customers with you and whatnot, there's going to be crossover of people who stay with your old company and whatnot. Just like the transportation space on the broker side is intimate, so are the customers. We recommend services, people, places, and things of each other. You don't think buyers do? So stay on the up and up, be legit. I had a gentleman call me last night at 10 o'clock at night. He said, hey, you are 10 o'clock last night, my time. He's in Michigan. He said, hey, are you still hiring? Within 30 seconds, I said, here's my phone number. Call me. I said, tell me what's going on. He goes, I didn't get a paycheck today. I said, oh, that's a problem. Gave me his little spiel. And I'm like, listen, good, bad, ugly. When you don't get paid, that's a problem. I've never not gotten paid. I can't imagine on a Friday when I'm expecting that check and it's not there. Forget how much they pay you, because we all know how much they pay you is the ultimate sign of disrespect. They didn't even pay you what they thought you were worth. And he was like, right, I'm done. This is not how I roll. And I said, all right, let's roundtable it Monday. Let's go from there. But that happened at 10:30 last night. I'm available. You have a problem? My phone number is on LinkedIn for a reason. My customers call me, strangers call me, you call me. If I'm up and available, let's talk about it. And so he said, hey, I want to thank you for the opportunity. And I said, don't thank me. You put yourself in this position. I'm just a vehicle, man. Like you did the hard work to get here. So, the whole LinkedIn thing, there's no cookie cutter way to go about it. Everybody has a different approach.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the fact that everybody has a different approach because it helps sharpen my approach so that I don't stay so, single-minded and just this way, and so I don't know.
Would you say, let me ask you this, would you say the most important aspect of it is to do it 7 days a week?
No, because if you put out fire content 3 days a week and you're transparent, cool. If you put out crap content 7 days a week, who cares? It's
true.
The quality of the content is king. Now you can break the macro and the micro down. Like you can have the dopest content out there, but if you're not speaking to the right people, it gets lost. So there's some economics to there's a recipe to it. So there's people that post all day every day, and I just go, you're wasting an opportunity. And it's not my place to tell you that. That's just my opinion. But there's some people that I see posting, and I'm like, there's no value here. You're not helping yourself. If anything, the wrong content hurts your brand. And so you have to be really careful about what it is you say. Now that I have a fair amount of agents, I actually have to just take a breath before I post something. Because if I say something and it's taken out of context, whether I meant it or not, it could affect 15 other people. And so that for me is that's why I write on Sundays and I don't write off the cuff, especially on the stuff that's, controversial, right? If I say something and I know it's going to evoke a reaction, both good and bad, I have to consider what that could do to my agents, right? And so I respect them enough to just, I don't need to go down that route. I'll throw that on Twitter. That'll be a Twitter machine right there. Or I'll just journal it and just deal with it internally. Like I don't have to put everything on LinkedIn. And so, quality content is top notch, man. Is the only, everything outside of that's dumb. Stop trying to hack the algorithm. It'll never happen because nobody knows what the algorithm is. Like,
and it'll always change.
It always changes, dude. It's just so bananas. So, one of the cool things about it is it's a giant journal. I tried to find a way where I could go back and print individual people's entire LinkedIn journey as a book. People would buy it because you'd see an evolution. I can't figure out how to data scrape it yet. I've talked to a couple of developers like, hey, listen, I think this would be a badass idea. How can I go in and data scrape one person's entire post history and put it in a PDF flipbook, like something like that, where they can go back and read it, and they were just like, it's doable, but give me a minute. So it's something that I've thrown against the wall. I don't know about monetizing it. I just think it would be cool. It paints a picture. It's a book. Yeah. It's your story. You know what I mean?
It's your professional story in a way. They say it's like the professional resume site, but people are just professional enough that it would be your professional story. I think now, more so than 2010, 2023, people are being, like you said, a little bit more social, a little bit more personal. That was my play. And at times, I'm with you. I fall into the trap of maybe I posted too much in a day, but I usually try to have a framework of I'm going to create one post per day that is of value. All right.
Right.
It's usually my longer form posts. If you follow me, you probably see them, right? You can tell I've actually taken more than 2 seconds to think about what I just posted. Right. That's usually like my value post.
Yep.
But the majority of the day, I like to stay in other people's comments. And I like to connect with other people in the industry, but I'm also following other people's stuff, seeing how they do it. And then I'll post like my social stuff later in the day. So like I'll post a quote. I'll post a screenshot of a Twitter. I'll post a rant. I still like to keep it fun. Like I'm going to talk about fights. That's just me, man. But that's also my podcast brand too. Like I've been clowned in emails publicly about how I'm a boner moron who talks about football, sports, podcasting, everything but freight. But what they don't know is I've done over $30 million in sales and logistics in the past 2 years. Like, so I don't have to hear that type, that stuff don't bother me. I know what I can do. Yeah. So it's like, I'm going to have fun and bring my life to this because I want people to get to know who I am if they want to do business with me. And for me, I want to be the most known. Yeah, go ahead.
I have something to say to the world. If you're watching, right? if you see me post something that I don't like and I name drop another company, don't get it twisted. That's not jealousy. That's accountability. I
Mhm.
admire the ability for the position you're in that you're wasting the opportunity of to help our industry progress, right? And
Exactly.
when certain people are managing companies of massive size and revenue, and they're doing it through their ego and not through business acumen, it reflects bad on all of us. We already have to fight an uphill battle. We don't need the big fish, excuse my language, whipping out their D going, here we go. We all, if, let me put it to you this way, if the big boys win, we all win. When the big boys fail, we all fail. It's called
Mhm.
accountability. The problem is the big boys don't want the little guys telling them that they're jacking it up for all of us because they're like, hey, I'm on top of the mountain. Yeah, but you're going to come crashing down, man. And when you do, we're at the bottom. Them rocks are going to hit all of us. You're going to
Yeah.
affect a whole bunch of people, man. Check the ego and look at the opportunity that you have to drive a progression within the industry. So for me,
Yeah.
it's not jealousy, dude. I don't want what you have. I don't want your customers. I just want you to be better. Is that so hard? Is that so hard to understand? The problem is nobody thinks like that because they go, "Oh, old boy's jealous." Son, I stay in my lane. I'm golden. I'm good. I'm just a mouthpiece. I'm just some dude in a basement in Arizona, right? Like, I don't know of any basements in Arizona, but apparently I'm in a basement in Arizona. So like I
Yeah.
run two companies without a high school degree. I used to live in the back of a U-Haul. Like, stop yourself, dude. Stop it.
I know,
It,
man.
it should be an egoless profession, right? The problem is it's sales, man. It's the Wolf of Wall Street, bro. The gong, bro. It's the gong, son. Like, stop it, dude. No, no.
No, it's all those things. And to speak to that with very generic terms, like we're doing, being very vague with what we're saying, because we got to be careful these days legally. But I would say that if you're at a place like that, right? Yeah,
Legally.
for sure. For sure. Yeah, legally. So if you're at a place like that, man, I want every single person there that is employed at those places to be successful.
Me
One
too.
that is close to home
Yeah,
are a bunch of friends of mine.
of
Friends of
course.
mine that you probably don't know work there because you're not from here, but
Right,
homeboy's born and raised here, and his whole family is too, and I'm kind of known around here. Like,
right,
so don't say anything about me thinking it's not going to get back to me
right,
multiple times.
right.
It's like that's so dumb and childish.
Well, the other
Um,
thing too is you and I are there's a bunch of us in the space. I won't call us influencers, right? Because I don't like that word. But
Me
there's a
either.
bunch of us that are in the space that are in the front of the space because we're daily, we're vocal, we are. It is what it is. People just come to us that may have never engaged with us and just tell us things. It's
Mhm.
unsolicited. I have never been like, "Hey, what do you know?" Not once.
Never.
People, dude, I've had people just call my phone and talk to me, and I'm just like, okay, you know. I don't throw
Yeah.
people under the bus. I don't share any of that other stuff, but I find it interesting that there are people within some organizations that are willing to kind of mole. And I don't like it, to be honest. It's unsolicited. I don't solicit it. But when my phone rings, I pick it up. I mean, I don't know who it is. I never know who it is. So
If
and
somebody's
that
willing to give me information, I'll use it.
oh, and listen, I'll use it because it just solidifies what we think we already know. It just strengthens our it's an affirmation. If nothing else, we all have our opinions, man. It is what it is. But listen, I want you all to succeed. Everybody, dude. Like all of us. There's enough for us all to eat, right? We don't have to eat at the same table, but there's that cafeteria is big enough for all of us, man. So the problem is, we're segregated. We got the jocks over here, the burnouts over here, the hipsters over here, and we're all infighting because we're all trying to fight for the crown. And it's like, listen, man, that's what's cool about LinkedIn. It's a big incubator, and the people that get it could have completely different backgrounds, but they gel together because they're looking to grow their own brand, but also push the industry forward. And so on
It's
paper, we're competitors,
yeah.
but we're friends. We're friends before we're competitors, man. It's like I'm not trying to cut you off at the knees. I don't want to steal your customers. You and I have talked about helping each other with freight. There's
Yeah.
no worry whatsoever about me stealing your customer, you stealing my carrier. But we're leveraging the network, and that's what it's all about. And
Yeah.
so, the incubator effect is legit. It's legit.
No, and organically, like
Okay, yeah,
you
no, it's
gotta
not forced.
you've got to be. Here's the problem, people, and I'm going to keep going back to this because people do not understand it because I'm seeing people do it every day.
Yep.
You cannot fake being who you are on LinkedIn. If you want to fake it, go somewhere else.
You can, but you stand out like a sore thumb. That's the problem. Like I said in my post the other day about some etiquette, if you're full of doo-doo, you're in a world full of sharks and killers. We're a bunch of salesmen. We know. It's not my job to tell you I know, but like I'm telling you I know without telling you I know. Like I'm giving you the sauce. Like calm down.
Yeah.
Listen, some of it's funny to watch because it's like, wow, when I was 22, I did those same things. That's a grown man right there doing that stuff, man. I did that when I was 20, and and so like that was a little bit of my ego coming out. I apologize about that, but that's true. I look at how I acted then versus how I act now, and I look at the trajectory that I'm on. Dude, a year, 2, 3 years from now, son. There was a post on Gabe put out a post yesterday. Tell me what CEO stands for. Right away, I was like, cash everybody out. My job as the CEO is to cash everybody out, not cash myself out, everybody. And that's probably why I run an agent-based business, man. I work for them. They don't work for me. I work for them. They make all the money. I make peanuts, and I'm cool with it, man. I'm not a leader of men. I'm not a good, effective leader of men and women. And so having an agent-based model, it takes that pressure off me because I don't have to micromanage. You either write business or you don't. And if you don't, it doesn't cost me anything, but you also don't eat. So you don't need me to motivate you. There's no dangling the 3% carrot and the potential for bonus. It's real tangible money. If you write business, you eat. The hungry are always going to find a way to eat. And so they either make it or they don't. And so for me, it's a great model because it leverages people's inherent ability to fight or flight, right? I was scared of the 1099 life. I'm like, oh man, no money every week. What am I going to do? I wrote $2 million in business sitting in this chair for a year and a half. And I went, oh, damn. Okay. And so when I went to do my taxes last year, and I didn't have an LLC set up when I 1099 as an independent agent. The tax guy said, hey, how much you got in the bank? And I was like, this. And he goes, I'm going to need all that. Really? I work really, really hard. He's like, dude, this is the equivalent to a couple of heavy hitting ex-wives. And I was like, yo, I already have an ex-wife, man. What are we doing here? And he's like, listen, we're going to pivot. We're going to LLC. We're going to flip the switch. We're going to go here. And off we went, man. And now the trust is in place. The LLC is in place. When I bring agents on, I put them in contact with our CPA. We teach them how to set up their business structure the right way, write all their stuff off. So not only am I giving them the autonomy to be their own boss, I'm showing them how to keep more of their own money.
Sure.
So
no, that's invaluable. That's what people
crazy
want.
Dude, I got a 16-year-old son in the other room who has an LLC in his name, dude. He's 16. Now he works at Chipotle and he makes $16 an hour flipping burritos. And that's by design. He needs to understand the W-2 life that have to. Because I'm not just going to hand him keys to the shit, man. He has to understand the gravity of what's beneath him once he gets to that point where he's like, this is what I want to do. But there's no spoon-fed action going on in this house, man. We're going to earn it. All of us.
Love it. Which brings me, you mentioned that you said, 3 to 5 years. Where are you going? Like I've kind of got my vision put out. I've got my whole plan. I know you're like me. You're like, I'm sure you've got spreadsheet and document and emails of text messages of everything you've got in the works. But really, where are you going to be? I say 12, 18, 24, 36 months from here. And that's kind of like your year to 3 year plan. Where are you going? Like, what's the plan?
I want to see 100 million in revenue out of the brokerage, which I don't worry about that. That'll come naturally. So I think I'm on a 5-year plan to hit 100 million in revenue with an agent-based model. I drop ship all of my apparel up until last week. We did enough revenue in the first 2 months where it was clear it wasn't a side hustle or a hobby. It was a business. And so it's full on. I purchased all of the equipment to in-house manufacture all of our apparel. So being that I'm in the supply chain, now I want to control the entire supply chain of my brand, my apparel brand. The apparel brand is an extension of my, brokerage. My ICP to both is the same person. So I'm giving them value on both ends. And so again, I'm a marketing company. So in the next 3 to 5 years, I mean, those two go hand in hand. The trajectory is the same for both. The crazy thing is there's so much opportunity on the apparel side. that I'm just scratching the surface. I mean, co-branding. I bought a printer instead of, so I would drop ship, they would send all my stuff out. Now I have a printer where I can print my own stuff. Now I can drop ship for other people. Now I can do what I was paying to do, and that'll pay for all my overhead. So there's so much value add there. And so, yeah, I think 3 to 5 years. Listen, I'm 41. I have a 9-year plan. I'm cashing out at 50 and I'm sailing off in the sunset. So these next 9 years, I'm grinding. I'm going to set the tone for my kids. You know, I'd like to buy a couple rental properties and put them in the trust for the kids, one every other year, so that when they're 22, 23, they have passive income, they have good credit, they have a nest egg. No matter what they do, they have an opportunity to be successful. All those things that I didn't have. But I'm going to teach them about business credit and LLCs and how to protect your money. And so they're getting college level real world experience at 13 and 16 years old. So I have 9 years left. That puts them at what, 25 and 23. Dude, if they're not prepared for life at 23 and 25, I failed. So these next 9 years are grind mode, and then deuces. I'm going to buy some land, a tiny house, take my dog and some pews, and I'm out. I'm out. That easy.
I love that, dude.
I mean, I don't want to hear the word inflation. I don't want to hear $10 eggs. I'm going to have chickens, man. I'm going to run. Dude, the supply chain's crazy. It teaches you how to control everything. So.
And you know the way the world's going and the country's going before it happens.
Oh,
listen, how we knew this was coming. We just didn't know necessarily when, but we knew it was coming. How did people not see this, knowing that the freight market was exploding for the past 2 years, that it's going to go the other way? Everything goes in cycles.
We didn't see an end to COVID. It just kept going and going and going. And so in terms of the market cycle, it's usually a little bit more predictable. This one just lasted a little bit longer, and there's always kind of an expected peak. That peak kept going and going and going and going. I mean, you don't open 10 offices and hire 1,000 people in a year if you're not just rocking. That's not normal. That's not normal. On the flip side, those guys who went out and bought $250,000 trucks times 10 and could afford to pay their drivers 70 cents a mile because the money was good, today they are struggling. So you have to have a conservative growth strategy. You almost have to save more when it's good, because when it's bad, you don't know how bad it's going to get. So like you got to save for a rainy day on both ends. And so I think people were just reinvesting into their business, and just the money, it's going to keep going. Finally, it's $5 a mile all the time. Everybody's going to get it. Nah, man, it doesn't work that way. And so now we're at that bottom, and it's that us versus them mentality. My book of business and my carriers don't use that language. My book of business and my carriers and my customers don't use the word backhaul. These are all manipulative pieces to drive rates down for no other reason other than somebody in the place to leverage profitability. Well, if everybody's making money, no matter what the market's doing, there's never an us versus them. And so when I'm onboarding a customer, I say, listen, I don't know what you're paying right now. What are your thoughts in 6 or 8 months when it goes back to the pandemic levels 2 years ago? That they look at me and they go, oh, we hope not. I said, listen, you have to plan for that. Because I'm going to tell you right now, they saw the money 2 years ago. They're getting smacked right now. They're coming back twice as hard next time. And if we're wrong, you're at least prepared for it. But if you're not prepared for it, good luck. And you know who's going to make the money? The brokers. That's just a byproduct, because we're the liaison between the two. I mean, let's face it, the brokers made the most money over the last 2 years. That's just by definition the way it works.
Yep.
I don't like that that's the stigma, right? I should never make more than the truck, and I certainly shouldn't make more than the customer. So when a customer's coming to me, I'm ridiculously transparent. Jason, I need you to quote this lane. Cool. This is where I'm at. Okay. And then I go, pause. I'm going to tell you my margin's 15% on this. What is your margin on this deal? Oh, we're making 3%. Let me sharpen my pencil. I should not actively be making 10 points higher than you. You're doing all the heavy lifting. The truck's doing all the heavy lifting. So I manipulate how I quote stuff based on my customer relationship. You know, I'm small. I don't have a lot of overhead. I have agents. I don't need to make 20%. I can go in at 10% and land at 8 and make more than people who can go in at 20 because they have a bloated payroll, right? And so I can come in a little bit better than the market, still overpay the truck, and still clean up. And nobody's mad. Everybody's happy. Customer saved money, truck made more money, Jason's good, right? And so that's the difference in transparency today. 3-4 years ago, I wasn't telling people what I was making, dude. I was just, here we go. Let's go.
Yep.
So
I do the same thing. Well, I just got back from Arkansas doing that very thing, man. Like I went down there with a transparent sales strategy. I went down there to understand their process first. I wanted to know how much. Listen, man, I didn't realize how much money was in chicken. First of all, I need to get me a chicken farm and start shipping some chickens around. But dude, what they buy these chickens for and how much chicken you can put in a reefer. And then when you process it and put it back out, the amount of money that these customers are paying for it and then upcharging it's wild for me. So I was just asking, like, how much does the average shipment cost? And they told me, and I was like, what? Okay. So you don't really care about transportation costs, do you? They was like, oh, no. That's why we don't have transportation people. We just have office people doing our thing. We just figure it out, and kind of whoever picks it up. So then you figure out the pain points of like what the issues really are. And it's just the fact that they don't have good service and that people are trying to make money. They're coming in, giving them super cheap rates. They're going out to multiple brokers. These brokers are all going to the board, posting up the lane. Now you got 5 different brokers, one being one of the biggest in the country, posting up these lanes, and they're all driving the rates up. And then they go back to the customer and they go, hey, here's the rate. And now they think they're getting a good rate, but they're really getting the highest rate possibly in the market. So I went there, and this is what I did. You're going to think this is funny. So I go there and I go, hey, listen, I want to show you everything that we do, completely transparency, all of our margins, all of our books. I pulled it up on their big conference board with their COO and their office workers, and pulled it up. I said, now check this out. Here's literally your load posted on the board right now. This is your load, right? I'm going to call them. I'm going to call this person, and I'm going to let you hear this person sell me their freight, your freight.
And they don't know, and they know nothing about it.
And they're not going to know anything about how this load should be sold. Now, I'm going to call all 5 of these people. They're all 5 going to sell it differently. They're all 5 going to have a different idea of what to sell, because they all picked up on what they wanted to hear to be able to know what they need to know to be able to sell the freight to get the best price possible. I said, let's do it. Boom, I call them. We got them doing the conversations. I saw their eyes. I saw their expressions. I knew I was already in. I looked at them. I said, all right, listen. Did any person sell your load the way you would have sold it if you were the one to answer the phone? And they go, no, not even close. I said, now, if you put all 5 together, is it? And they go, yeah, maybe. I said, what if you had one brokerage doing all of this for you, finding you the best price with the best service, and just charging you a flat service fee on each load we do, not trying to cut the market down, trying to let drivers get paid, trying to let us get paid, and trying to get you get paid, because now you're free to do other stuff that you're actually good at. You don't even want to do logistics. You can actually do what you need to do.
That's why you hired us.
Exactly.
That's why you look for us to do what we do, because listen, if you put me in an Excel spreadsheet all day, I'm gonna mess that up, dude. That is not my forte. But you put me in the transportation side of things, dude, I could fake that all day. That's what I do. So I do the same thing. I onboarded a customer a week ago, and I said, give me something you want me to quote. She goes, well, I just sent this out to a few clients, a few brokers. And I said, all right. I went up on DAT and I showed them, here's your 6 brokers putting this load up here. Have any of them given you a rate back? And they're like, yeah. And I said, look at what they're selling it for. And some of it was $1,000 margin. And I'm like, okay. Now, they may have quoted you the market based on our data, but they are not paying the market based on the data to the truck. That's unacceptable. I will never stand for that. I am not in business to put my friends out of business. So I took the rate. I even ran my analytics. I screen shared with them, and I said, this is what I see. It was actually Red Bluff, California to Auburn, Washington. Market said like 27. Sure. These brokers had it posted at 18. You can't go to Washington for $1,800 because you're coming out of there for $1,000. Like, I explained how this works. And I said, look, the market's 27. I'm going to charge 10%. I'm going to charge $3,000, and I'm going to book a truck at 27. I said, now you can give it to me at at $3,000, or you could give it to them at $3,000 and know that I made $250 and they made $1,000. So how do you feel about that? Like, should they be making $1,000? Not only should they not be, here's the market. Look how shady they are, because obviously at the end of the day, you want the best rate. It's not how I roll. That's not how I roll. I don't want to put people out of business. The problem is when you go cheapest rate, you get the guy who's cutting corners and doing stuff shifty. And, the upside to selling it at a cheaper rate, it's harder to double broker, but I'm strict with my compliance. I don't worry about that stuff. I don't ever want to be put on blast for being a cheap broker. One, I never post my rates on the internet because rates are subjective. One dude screenshots it. It's on a WhatsApp. It's on Instagram. I don't post my rates. I also never tip my hat. You call me on a load. Hey, I'm calling on this posted load. My first question, MC. Then I let you talk. My second question is, what do you need this load to be ran at for you to be profitable? They're ready to spit a number out until they hear that last word. And then they go, what did you say? How much money do you need for this load for you to be profitable? And if they're not in the ballpark, just like Dan, the driver, will say, hey, listen, if you're not going to make money on this load, why are we even talking about it? Right? Like if you can't make money at the market, your expenses are your expenses. This ain't for you. But, I try to come at it from a standpoint of, if I can't keep you in business, I got to keep finding new carriers. And we all know sourcing new carriers today, it's not healthy, man. It's not a healthy environment. So if I do my job the right way and I ensure everybody's eating, we're good. You get good reviews. You build good core carriers. You could turn a crappy carrier into a good carrier because they're crappy because they've been crapped on their whole life. Right. The minute you treat them the right way, for example, this one customer, I ended up getting that load, booked it. They gave me another load the next day, put it on the board. Lady called me. She undercut herself by $200. I was charging like $1,800 to the customer. The market was like 14. She's like, I'll take it for 12. And I was like, no. Why $1,200? She's like, it's a backhaul. I was like, we don't use the B word here. Like, this is a $1,400 lane. I'm going to pay you $1,400. And she was like, really? To go run that. Go run the numbers. Like, you're not even coming at me with the market. She's like, everything's so cheap. I just needed the freight. I was like, okay, well, now you could see there's a psychology out there of carriers bidding against themselves because they're afraid not to get the freight. That's the marketplace the brokers have created. And you know what? That's what I'm trying to change. That's what you and I are out here. We're transparency is the new way. It really is. And the big boys hate us for that. If I believe correctly, Freight Vana is transparent on all their freight. I think they do cost plus on everything.
I'm trying to get to that. That's literally my goal. Yeah. So with that customer I was telling you about, we don't have their outbound freight because of just the sheer volume, and they have drop trailers with JB Hunt, and they can kind of just source whenever they need to. And I can't provide that. I'm always let them know I couldn't. But inbound, I can pretty much control all of their inbound freight, and I do it at cost plus. And with it being poultry, it's so time sensitive. Like, they don't have time to negotiate necessarily over rates. And do you have a truck? And now I got a truck for this rate. Oh, it fell off. Now I can't even book it. I got to find another broker. Right. They don't have time for that. They need you to pick it up, have it at the right temperature, and get it to the processing plant as soon as possible. So for me to do that, the best way possible is I'm going to get you the best price and the best service. I didn't say the cheapest price and the high. Like, I'm getting you the combination of both. What I think is going to be the best price and the best service. So market rate and a truck that is going to do it the right way.
That's the there. Key, though, is market rate, because you can look at the market. There's a low and a high. So if I don't already have a truck in hand, because a lot of the stuff that comes my way, I've got built-in capacity on a lot of my customers. So for me, a text or two later, it's covered. I know what these guys charge. It's easy. My market is what my market is. But if you're calling me on a hot load, I'll say, look, the market is A and B. I'll squeeze right in between. It probably won't be the lowest. It probably won't be the highest. Yeah. But I'm going to find the right truck with the right hours, equipment, everything that I need to feel good about them carrying your freight and hauling my money. Because let's face it, when they're on the road, my money's at risk here. Like, hate to put it that way, but as a brokerage owner, that shit is tangible. It's real, right? I'm not playing with house money at a big box 3PL anymore. This is legacy money now. So like, I have to be a steward of their money and mine. And so I say, look, I charge 10%. If it's quick, high value, 15%. It's up. And the way that works is, that I can go find a truck, because what happens is everybody throws a number against the wall and prays. And if they can't, they give it back. That doesn't do anybody any good. And you lost an opportunity to make money. If you were just transparent up front and say, look, this is what it's going to cost. This is what I charge for what I do. If you're on board, cool. If you're not, some customers are not cool with that. They want a flat rate and they just want to build it off a spreadsheet and just let it roll. Cool. I can work with that if it's consistent and I go build dedicated freight around it. There's a way to reverse engineer all of your needs. But if you call me last minute, hot load, pick it up right now, dude, I'm not like, yeah, $5,000, I'll get it done. That's not coming out of my mouth. I'll say, look, the market's 4 to 45. I'm going to get it right in that sweet spot. I'm going to charge my 10, 15%, whatever we negotiate, but a truck will be there. Is that what you need? Do you need a truck there? Yes. Cool. No, call TQL. Call some of these other guys who have 10,000 people who can dedicate, your need. I'm a niche brand, right? I'm not everybody's cup of tea. But when I guarantee my service, it's because I sold the pricing the right way, So it never used to be that way. It used to just be run a DAT number, add 15% and pray. Dude, that happened pre-COVID and everybody made money. Then COVID happened and it changed the game. 100% changed the game. You cannot do that anymore.
100%.
You cannot do that anymore.
You can't. And when I realized, I've been trying to sell cost plus kind of since I started sales and didn't have success with it because I was running into those problems you were having. And then I figured out how to kind of do it like the right way. And that was by being transparent, by actually showing the market and stuff. That's when I realized that's the way you sell cost plus. It's what's funny. Now, like we got 15 loads sent over. It was Friday just for this one plant on one inbound lane. And in the pricing section, instead of it saying a price, it just had 3 question marks. And because she knows that like at the end of the week, I'm just going to send her a spreadsheet of all the loads once they're booked. And like they were even confused at one point. They were like, well, I thought this lane was this amount. And I said, oh, no, that was to the truck. So I had to like explain, like color code my columns and be like, this is the truck. This is the upcharge. Here's actually the margin percentage. I said, I'm actually charging you 10%. But if you notice, I never hit 10% in my margins because I felt like what I was getting was a little bit too good, or I wasn't getting the best price that I could have for you at that time. So actually your margins are between 7 to 9%. So I'm even saving you more money there because I promise you these same brokers you go to are getting the same trucks. If you want this service, you're getting the same trucks, but they're charging you 15 to 20%. So at the end of the day,
and the reason why is money. The reason they're charging that is because they have there's so many hands in the cookie jar. They got to eat 6, 8, 10% off the top just to cover their nut. My nut's nothing. Like that's why I can come in a little bit and be like, listen, I don't have crazy overhead. I don't have 10,000 employees I got to cover, payroll for next week. My employees, I'll take that back. The people that work with me don't work for me. Let's not get it twisted. They don't work for me. I work for them. And so because of the business structure, our overhead is such that I don't have to make $250 a load just to break even. My break even's like $6. So I'll take $100 and write a check all day and cash that check all day happy. You want to give me 100 loads a month at $100? Cool, I'll take it. There's a bunch of brokers out there who'll be like, nah, it's too cheap. Okay. Just like different carriers have different responses to different rates because they themselves have a different cost to operate. Same thing with the brokers, like there's some brokers out there that have some hefty payroll, man. They got, that's why you have to have so many people. It's a volume game for them. That's cool. That's quantity over quality. You'll notice me say all the time, people over profit. The profit comes, right? I don't have to cash 30% on one load and burn it and have to find another customer to do it again tomorrow. I'd rather cash 10% off you all day, every day. And you be okay with it because you understand the value of Jason. We're consistent. We don't fail. If anything, we over communicate. The problem that I find is customers come to me and say, my problem with you is you're too transparent and it makes the rest of them look like crap. And I'm like, I can't help that. I don't know how to help that. That's the stigma of the market. Everybody's got a broke down truck, right? I had a breakdown truck last week and I said, hey, I got a breakdown, but a repower is already under it and it's on the way. Just wanted to let you know it broke down and I fixed it. Not that we were going to be late. No, nothing other than this is what happened because it's your freight and you need to know these things. They didn't ask me. They didn't really care, but they were like, wow, okay. Okay. And so you kind of set the bar of what they should expect from you. And the problem is these 20-year-old order takers over here who are on Snapchat on their phone all day, they're not proactively reaching out to these customers because they're getting nickel and dime on 3% commission. They don't care. They're there for beer and weed money, getting a check every Friday. Your boy is not here for beer and weed money, buddy. I'm here for investment property and retirement money, dude. I got land. I got land to get. So yeah, you're not taking food off my plate. No, sir.
Well, hey man, we're on that hour and 13-minute mark, 14-minute mark. So
we can do this all day. You know how we roll. This is how
that's the problem. People don't understand. We could literally do this all night. So, and we hadn't even scratched the surface on stuff we actually want to talk about, to be honest. If we really want to pull back the curtain.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're gonna do this a bunch in the future.
Hey, the best part's the one they're never going. The best part's the one they're never going to hear, right? That's the good stuff. If you want to get privy to that information, you got to come check us out some other times. But
yeah, I appreciate you, buddy. I'm proud to call you my friend. I'm honored that you would ask me to come on board and value my opinion. Obviously, I value your opinion. When that bat signal comes out, dude, I'm always available.
Hey, man, I appreciate it. Before we get you out of here, last thing.
Yeah.
Tell everybody, I love that. I know you did it last time too, but I love this. Anybody that's still listening right now, because if you're still listening at this point, you give a shit, right? You care.
Yeah.
So tell those people that care. Yeah. Tell those people, and then there will be people, I promise you. Tell those people, just give one piece of advice. Maybe you're giving them, if they're struggling right now, going through a hard time, what's something one piece of advice you can kind of let them have as we get off the show?
Go find the homeless population and drive around. Go find the area of your town that's the worst economic condition, where people are homeless and sleeping outside when it's 20 degrees, and eat a little slice of humble pie. Because I promise you, whatever you're going through, some of those people wish to have your problems. Promise you that. My kids were acting a fool a couple weeks ago. I took them down to the ghetto, into something called the Square. Thousands of homeless people down there. I took their iPhones. I made them pay attention. I made them be present. And when they left, they were like, yo. And I said, you know what? Your dad lived in a place like that. And if you don't act right, that's where you end up. So there's no such thing as white privilege, because there were white, black, Mexican people down there. That fentanyl shit doesn't care what color your skin is. It will kill you. Okay? So you stay in school and you do what I'm telling you to do. You have the best chance to succeed. And so, and if you're caught up, man, go find somebody who wishes they had your problems. And if that doesn't work, you need Jesus or therapy, son. Those are the two options. Maybe both, right?
Yeah.
Sheesh.
Yeah,
so
maybe both.
That's what I do. I mean, when I find myself tripping, I go back.
I love that. No, that I love that. Well, dude, hey man, I love you. You're great. I love everything you're putting out.
Appreciate
You're a friend that I never knew I was going to have, but I'm glad that you came into my life.
Yep.
And anything I can do, you always know I'm a phone call away if I can help you. Same with you. I know you're always a phone call away. So
dude,
this is the second
I got a
minute.
shirt being made for you. I got a shirt being made for you.
Dude,
it's a championship belt, and it says Heavy Freight Champ, just for you, son. I came up with that.
What
yesterday.
heavy? Oh, dude,
Heavy
I'm still Heavy Freight
and,
Champ.
and listen, this is not for sale. This is a one-time deal. This is a limited edition 101. But
I like that.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yo, Heavy Freight Champ, dude. That's what it is right there. And I have them making it on a strap right across. Dude, it's gonna be legit.
I'm gonna get a real belt like that. I'm serious. I'm gonna get a real belt like that. That's dope.
Fresh, dude. That is fresh city right there. So.
Hey, bro. Well, hey, there'll be many of these to come. I'll catch you on the next one. But everybody, if you want to go find Jason, you know where he's at. He's all over LinkedIn. He's on Twitter as well. If you want to drop your handles real quick, you can. Then we'll get you out of here.
Cool. All right, boys. Thank you. Have a great night. Have a freight day. That's what's up.
That's right.
All
Ship
right,